up on Bloom why it's important for dads to prioritize their health.
It's against the grain for us, right? I mean, many of us like, look, at the end of the day, I'm dad, right? Or I'm husband, or I'm partner, whatever that looks like. But the idea of I've got to do everything in my power, right, to make sure that I provide an environment that is safe.
And why it's so hard to get guys to go to the doctor. Plus, we're whipping up gourmet steak and eggs for dad. We'll have all that and more as Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, starts now. I'm Gayle Guyardo. Welcome to Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We are dedicating our show to all the guys out there because June is Men's Health Month. Fatherhood comes with a multitude of responsibilities, and in the hustle of balancing work, family, and other commitments, dads often put their health on the back burner. But it is crucial, not just for their well-being, but for their families too, that dads make their health a top priority. Joining me now is super dad and behavioral scientist, Dr. Gino Calora. It's so great to see you, Dr. Gino.
Gayle, always a pleasure.
So you yourself last night were up with a teething baby and your wife, and you know it's challenging for dads with kids of all ages. You guys balance so much.
It is nonstop, and I mean, look, it's an uphill battle, right? I mean, there's always a diaper to be changed, or a boo-boo to give kisses to, right? Or hugs that you need to give because her feelings got hurt at school. It's nonstop, right? But that's the job.
That is the job. But why is it so hard for dads, the mental challenge of prioritizing themselves?
So it's a really tough thing, right? When we welcome this beautiful thing that is our child into the world, a lot of things change, right? And we know that, right? But we don't necessarily understand what's happening under the skin, what's happening biologically to us. And there are very real changes that happen in our brains, right? So our ability to kind of tone down the go-get-em, that testosterone-fueled side of us, in a very real sense, that kind of drops and it dips, right? And we see a spike of what we call oxytocin, right? That bonding hormone, right? And that's a good thing because it allows us to be there, to be present, to being present, being a priority for us, right? Which is incredibly important. But at the same time, it also adds a lot of weight to our plate because now we have this child that is helpless, right? And it's looking to me, or it's looking to dad and mom for everything and anything, and that is a heavy responsibility.
Yeah, it's a heavy responsibility, and I think a lot of times dads don't even voice their feelings about having all of this weight on them.
It's against the grain for us, right? I mean, many of us like, look, at the end of the day, I'm dad, right? Or I'm husband, or I'm partner, whatever that looks like. But the idea of I've got to do everything in my power, right, to make sure that I provide an environment that is safe, an environment where that child is cared for, an environment where that child is provided for. And at the end of the day, it's my child, which means it's my responsibility. And I'm not looking to anyone to my left or to my right, and I carry that weight. And so the idea of me stopping and looking at the mirror and being like, well, Gino, or what do you need today? Right? What does that look like for you? Many times it doesn't feel like there's time for it.
And more dads, and this is great to report on, are taking a more hands-on approach like you're doing with your young children, like my husband did. He was totally hands-on in helping me raise the 4 girls. We did it together. So that in itself puts more strain on the guy as well.
Without a doubt. Like, you know, when we break down this concept, because we're talking a lot about responsibility, right? So when we talk about responsibility, what are we actually saying? It's our ability to respond. Well, if we're going to respond, we have to be present, right? And so this idea of let me be there, let me not just be that dad that checks out early in the morning, comes back late at night for dinner, and then puts the kids to bed. I want to be more hands-on. I want to be present, especially in those first 10 years of development for that child, because emotionally and psychologically, those are crucial, right? So you do see more dads taking a hands-on approach, and you do see them carrying that weight of, listen, I'm not just a protector, but I'm also an emotional provider, not just a provider of paying bills and that sort of a thing, but I want to be present. I want to be there. I want to be able to provide that environment that is conducive and productive to a healthy outcome for my child.
And instinctually, though, a lot of men, I know there's tons of single moms out there trying to, you know, keep the bills going and raise the kids by themselves. Traditionally, dads did just worry about keeping the lights on. And now they're doing that and adding on the responsibility. So they're almost starting to feel the weight of balancing it all in life.
That's
more
exactly
and more
right.
today than ever before, I would say.
Without a doubt, right? So we go back to that old principle of how many thoughts do we have a day? Your average human being has 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. Most parents are in that 40 to 60,000 range, right? Because it's not just me, it's also my child that I'm thinking about. But what comes along with having all those different thoughts? Well, it's stress, right? Well, look, when we are stressed out, we are dealing with spikes of cortisol, right? When we have prolonged and chronic cortisol, you know what we're actually having is inflammation in the body, right? And so then we start talking about all different kinds of issues, right? You know, the dad bod, for example, you pack on a few extra pounds. Well, why is that, right? We're not making the time to exercise, which what has a hormonal impact on our bodies. And then we start getting those sugar cravings, those carb cravings, and then it kind of turns into this big snowball effect, right? So at the end of the day, it's incredibly important for us to understand that, look, yes, add the additional responsibility, but make sure you're taking care of yourself so you can be present and you can be there and you don't fall victim to issues with your cardiovascular system, your neurological system, or your mental health. It's incredibly important. Your kids need you to be there for the long haul.
Yeah, I think that is the big thing. I mean, if any other message for dads out there watching to prioritize your health is your family really needs you. They depend on you. And, you know, I always think about this, God forbid anything happens to my husband because he's the rock of our family.
That's right. Look, when you're burning the candle at both ends, everybody knows it's not sustainable, right? And if you're living life feeling the weight of the world on your back, but yet you're not tending to your own heart and to your own mind and to your body so you can actually be there to provide your kids with what they need, it's a moot point, right? You're burning that candle and it's going to be a very, very short fuse, right? And so you want to be, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So balance is important.
Balance is important because you want to be there to, because I can tell you the time is fleeting. They grow up before you know it.
That is so
you
true.
wait, Dr. Gino, soon you're going to be like Mark, keeping an eye out on the boys. All right.
I'm prepping.
All right, we're going to share Dr. Gino's story on BloomTampaBay.com. And stick around, WWE superstar and super dad Titus O'Neil is throwing a huge event for dads on Father's Day. We'll tell you all about it when Bloom returns. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.
The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by Renewal by Anderson of Tampa.
Welcome back. It's time for your window to the weekend, presented by Renewal by Anderson of Tampa. WWE legend and superstar father Titus O'Neil has something special for dads this Father's Day weekend. Here with more on his superstar dad celebration is Titus himself. Hello, my friend.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. So I know this has been something that's been weighing heavy on you. You've really wanted to do this for a long time, so here we are, celebrating dads.
Yeah, we are celebrating dads and male mentors and the importance of it, but also telling stories and putting it in an environment where everyone is welcome and it's free. It's a free event. So there's really no reason why people can't participate. We so often make plans for Mother's Day months in advance, you know, and on Mother's Day weekend, you can't get a reservation to a restaurant on a Friday all the way through Monday. Father's Day weekend, we can play golf every single day and go to any restaurant of our choosing and get seated in 10 minutes. So hopefully, aside from the ties, aside from the socks, aside from the occasional hugs, and then the grill, that of course benefits the entire family. Hopefully these dads leave this knowing that they're appreciated and also understanding that you're not alone. So the stories that we're telling about families that have kids with special needs, there are other people that will be in the crowd that will also have children that have special needs. So they'll realize I'm not alone. A father that was a single dad, for whatever reason, ended up in a worse situation of being homeless and having to fight out of that and get help. He's not the only one that's going to be in the audience that day that need help at some point navigating being a single dad. And then there are those that are our military members that we will have a lot of support from the MacDill Air Force Base and those families that are staying out there. They'll be able to see someone that represents them from a military background that understands, hey, I might have lost my ability physically to have children, but I took it upon myself to do, with my opinion, is one of the most unselfish things that anyone can do, and that's he adopted his children. And so it'll be great stories, great entertainment, and a lot of tears, but a lot of laughs and a lot of joy too.
And I think, too, what's so cool about this event, it's also an opportunity to see our fathers through a different lens, because to your point, you know, historically, dads have always been the breadwinners and moms have always been stay-at-home. But we know society serves that narrative up completely different. Yet dads don't get the respect that they really deserve to what they bring to the table when it comes to nurturing our children.
Well, I can tell you, I don't, you know, as far as moms being stay-at-home, my mom never stayed at home. My mom worked 2 jobs to make sure that we could eat and have clothing. It wasn't the best of clothing. It wasn't always the best of food, but my mom worked hard. And there are a lot of hard-working women out there and a lot of hard-working men and people that are trying to work hard for one reason and one purpose only, to provide for their family. And so the stress from a father's perspective is no different than it is from a mother's perspective, depending on what that family consists of. But as a man, sometimes we don't get the proper, I guess, pouring into us, because we're supposed to be so big and strong. We are the providers, the protectors, and the mothers are the nurturers, and in some cases the homemakers. But I know men out there that are great homemakers too. I'm a great cook. I don't like doing dishes. So I would need someone to help balance that out.
Right.
And that doesn't have to be a woman. It could be one of my kids. It could be whoever. I think all of us need to take a more concerted effort, instead of putting roles and responsibilities on someone, one particular race or one particular sex, and put more responsibility on elevating those people. And so I want to elevate fatherhood. I want to elevate the importance of fatherhood. As I said before, Mother's Day gets celebrated like no other. You know, and rightfully so. In so many cases, there are a lot of beautiful women out there. I was raised by a single mother that worked hard to raise me and my 3 brothers. Fathers are doing the same thing. They're just not getting that spotlight. So I just want to be able to at least introduce the notion that dads can be celebrated and should be celebrated in a very powerful way, even if it is only on that one day. But hopefully that transactional day of events ends up being a transformational way of people looking at, my dad's pretty cool, my dad's a hero, my dad does work hard, my dad gets on my nerves, but man, he does make good points, you know? And I need my dad. And so I don't think that anyone, I think you lost your father a few years ago. You remember some of the most pristine moments that you had in your lifetime, some of the most coming off the graduation stage, you know, your dad right there probably to hug you and squeeze you.
He was there for everything.
Everything, right?
He didn't miss a moment.
Right. So Father's Day, as I said before, doesn't hit the same for everybody. Sometimes it's a very difficult time for some people, just like Mother's Day is that for those that have lost their mothers. So we're giving a chance for everybody to come out and just celebrate family and let the dads be the leads for this, the reason for this celebration on this day.
Absolutely beautiful. Titus, thank you so much for coming on Bloom and sharing more about your big event. It's going to be incredible. Everything this man puts together is over the top. The celebration of Superstar Dads is Sunday, June 16th. Doors open at 9:01 a.m. at the Mid-Florida Credit Union Amphitheater, and the event runs from 10:01 to 2:01 p.m. We're going to put everything you need to know on BloomTampaBay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by Renewal by Anderson of Tampa.
You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. We are back with something special that you can do for Dad this Father's Day. Joining me now, showing us how to whip up gourmet steak and eggs, is the executive chef at Oxford Exchange, Chef Joe Meyer. Chef Joe, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hey, glad to be here.
And I got a lot of work ahead of me to do to get this rolling. So how do we get started?
Okay, well, let's go ahead and we can start working the bourbon apéritif sauce.
Ooh.
So what we're going to do is take the butter, we're going to melt it, and then we're going to add shallots, 2 shallots, a clove of garlic, and let that sort of soften up a little bit.
Okay. And it smells so good, and I love that you worked a little bourbon in here for Dad, which probably cooks off.
Oh, it will cook off.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just letting this become fragrant, or I'm like really sauteing it down?
You're just getting it to where it's a little bit soft.
Ooh, it smells so good.
Oh, yeah. Nothing's better than fresh garlic.
Okay, so Chef, well, I'm doing this, and then you've got, just so I know, I've got the peppercorn,
Yeah.
the bourbon.
Yes.
Then I'm going to put what is this?
That is going to be beef stock and heavy cream.
Okay, we're going to put all of this recipe for you guys online, but Chef, how do we get the steak going?
Okay, for the steak, we're going to add, so the steak has been sous vide already for 2 hours.
Okay.
So we cook that at 129 for 2 hours in a sous vide bath.
Okay.
And then after that, we let it sort of rest. And at this point, we are going to be able to just sear it on the stovetop here with a little bit of olive oil.
Okay.
And then let it rest on the board before slicing.
And for people who don't know what sous vide is, I know it's like a French style of cooking that gains in a lot of popularity.
Yeah, so it's a way of keeping the internal temperature at a certain level without it having go up to a certain heat, so it won't ever overcook in a sous vide bath.
Okay.
In theory, you could have it in there for 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours even.
Okay.
And it just makes the meat and everything super tender.
And does that compare at all to a reverse sear?
It's similar, but
Okay.
I prefer this method personally.
Okay, all right. Good to know, good to know. Just trying to show off in front of the chef. Reverse sear, do you like that? Just kidding.
While you're going ahead and doing that, perfect, I'm going to go ahead and start seasoning these potatoes.
Okay.
So I'm going to drizzle some olive oil over them. Hit it with some salt and pepper. Mix that around a little bit. And place them on the sheet tray here.
See, that's nice and easy, and it's delicious.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this process involves a 2-step cooking method, but besides that, it's honestly very easy. After that, we're going to put it in the oven. It's going to be a 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes. Thankfully, I already had some working.
The magic of TV here.
Magic of TV, you got to love it.
Oh, I've also heard, speaking of Father's Day, I hear you're a new dad.
I am a new dad. I was lucky enough to have a daughter born a few days after Christmas, right before New Year's. Her name's Chloe, and she's honestly everything for me. So
That's
it's
so
great.
beautiful. Congratulations,
Thank
Chef.
you.
That's
Thank
so
you.
awesome. She's one lucky little girl.
She is. Okay. Now that the potatoes come out and you let them cool for a slight little bit, what you're going to do is take the heel of your hand and you're going to go ahead and just give them a nice little smush, right?
Okay.
And you don't want to break them up too much, but you want to make them nice and flat.
Okay. And while you're doing that, Chef, should I be putting the steaks on? Because we got about 2 minutes.
Yeah, we can start doing the steaks.
All
I
right.
gotcha.
All right. Do I need a little
Little
oil in
olive
there?
oil in
Okay.
there.
All right. I've gotten this heating up.
Yep.
Hopefully, all right. So I'll let you get back to smashing.
And just so you know, with this steak, it is pretty much at a medium rare temperature
I'm
already.
only searing it?
You're only searing the outsides, and you're
Okay.
going to sear all 4 sides of
Okay,
the stem
I got
cut.
you.
Right.
All right, go back to smashing.
Smashing. Heard that. So potatoes are nice smashed. They're going to go back in the oven. And of course, the magic of television here. They're going to come out nice and extra crispy. When they're like this, it's great because what we're going to do now is go ahead and put them in a bowl, hit them with some herbs as well as some olive oil, and they are going to be absolutely delicious and glistening. I'm going to jump around you
Okay,
real quick here.
you do what you got to do. I'm in sear mode over here. And a little seasoning.
Yep.
Now, was I supposed to use some of that in my sauce?
Not yet. Once
Okay.
that sauce reduces down and
Okay.
becomes of better consistency, we're going to go ahead and be able to add the herbs in. If you add them in too soon, it's going to take a lot of the color out and a lot of the flavor out.
Okay.
All right. But while that's happening, I have one more step, of course. We're going to go ahead and drizzle olive oil on these cherry tomatoes, which are on the vine. These tomatoes are super sweet and amazing product here. Hit it with a little salt and pepper. And then these two are also going to go on a sheet tray. And then these are going to be for 400 for only 5 minutes.
All right. You can watch Executive Chef Joe Myers and I put this together on BloomTampaBay.com. Thank you so much for Oxford Exchange for this spread. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. Living the Tampa Bay lifestyle means enjoying the sand, sun, and outdoors fun. So get out, get active, and nurture those healthy habits. Hey there, I'm Gayle Guyardo, host of Bloom. Now there's a new all-inclusive place with everything you need to shape your lifestyle, boost your health, and improve your wellness. BloomTampaBay.com, Tampa Bay's premier health and wellness website, made to help you feel good. Whether you're a fitness fanatic, beauty buff, or just want to take your first step towards positive change, this free website is for you. See the Bay Area's hottest fitness products, the latest workout crazes, and learn nutrition tips from the experts. Plus, discover local events and experiences designed with your well-being in mind. Cultivate a healthy mind, body, and soul. Check out BloomTampaBay.com, your local health and wellness website. That's BloomTampaBay.com. Welcome back to Bloom. Today we're dedicating our show to men, and a survey out shows many men admit they put off going to the doctor as long as possible, even when they're experiencing life-threatening symptoms. Joining me now with more is physician Dr. David Bernstein. Dr. Bernstein, it's so great to see you.
Oh, it's great to be here with you today, Gayle.
So the first thing I want to start with is I can't remember the last time my husband went to the doctor. He hates going to the doctor, and I think he's not alone in this.
Oh, no. It's like the patient I know named Bill, who came to see me at age 50. He came, and I said, "You're here because your wife sent you here for a colonoscopy, right?" He said, "How did you guess, doctor?" I said, "Well, because men show up because their wives make them. They hide the fact that there may be some mental health concerns and anxiety, stress, etc. at work, and at the very end of the visit, while I'm just about leaving the room, they say, 'Hey, doc, can I have one of those blue pills, Viagra?'" So it's important for people to get screening tests. It's important for people to go to the doctor, and men put a lot of stigma about going to the doctor, and they like to be stoical.
Yes.
So that's a reason for not going. They also don't have as much knowledge, and they may be fearful of cost. So we have to build rapport with patients in that regard, and sometimes in this busy stage of not having as much time, that's difficult. But getting screening tests done, like a colonoscopy and talking about prostate cancer, is important. And then, you may not believe it, but vascular health, mental health, and sexual health are all related.
How so?
Well, vascular health is really important. So I talk to people about their cholesterol, eating right, and exercise, because the heart is a most important organ in your body, because once it stops, there is no life. Right. But there are all the blood vessels that are supplied by the heart that go down to your legs, to your brain, to your arms, and your sexual organs. So if your vascular system is not up to speed, there'll be some problems in erectile function. Second is the mental part of this. Having good mental health, not being stressed, dealing with anxiety, depression, substance use, can also affect your heart, your erectile function, and how you behave. And lastly is the relationship part of sexual function. So you need to have a relationship with your companion for that to work, and you have to have good heart and blood vessels for erections. And so one of the thoughts that physicians have is, if a patient of mine is asking for Viagra, their vascular system may not be up to snuff, and getting some type of cardiac evaluation above and beyond blood sugar and cholesterol. But I know you and I have spoken about calcium scores or stress tests that can be really effective for that.
These are all really good things to think about. Now, what can we do to help build this rapport? Because you started off the beginning of this interview saying that I believe your patient Bill, it was his wife that got him there. And so what can we do as women and partners and to help the men in our life get over the hurdle of the fear? I mean, I know for women, sometimes when I was raising 4 kids, I'd put myself on the back burner. But we got to figure out how to put our men on the front burner.
It's a real challenge because I didn't mention the mental health part of men's health is that stoicism, the stigma, and keeping things inside and all bottled up. That's unhealthy. We've talked about stress as part of one of the things that contributes to cardiovascular disease, dementia, and cancer. And so men have to learn to deal with that, and they need to know that there's a comfortable place and a place to talk to a physician about that. And in addition to that, because when I talk about mental health, is the higher suicidal rate among men. So what the wife would need to do, or the spouse would need to do, is make sure that the spouse knows who's going to the doctor, it's a comfortable place, they can open up, you have a relationship yourself with the doctor, and that you can talk about anything and keep things confidential.
All right.
And that's really important.
It's so important. All right, Dr. Bernstein, it's such a pleasure seeing you as always.
Pleasure to be here, Gail.
All right, we're going to share Dr. Bernstein's advice on BloomTampaBay.com. And before we go to break, it's time for today's Bloom Trivia question. In a health survey, what percentage of male respondents said they would rather do household chores like cleaning toilets than go to the doctor? 50%, 72%, or 85%? We'll have the answer later on Bloom. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We begin where your checkup ends. Call now, 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. It's time for this week's What the Health with the Today Show's nutrition, health, and lifestyle expert, Joy Bauer, who's whipping up her favorite Father's Day recipe. But before we get to the recipe, we saw a super cute video of Joy's dad, who was the keynote speaker at his alma mater, City College of New York. Take a look.
It's happening.
I'm going to be speaking, and hopefully no one will throw a tomato at me. I hope.
But if they do, it has lycopene.
Lycopene, you're right, you're right.
Well, their parents would never let them go
All right, this is exciting times for your father. A little nutrition humor in there, but a great backstory that goes along with this, Joy.
Gail, this was truly one of the greatest moments of my life because it wasn't just about my dad delivering the keynote speech. He graduated with a degree I'm wearing in his honor. This is the Grove Engineering School at CCNY, which is the City College of New York. My dad graduated in 1961, but he grew up very, very poor. He was the first in his family to go to college. His parents were immigrants, and they had very, very little resources. He never was able to attend his graduation because he had to work and he needed to make money. And it was his biggest regret in life. So for his 86th birthday, my brother reached out. He arranged with the college for my father to not only walk down with the graduates and accept his diploma on the stage, which, I mean, goosebumps from head to toe. But when they heard the whole story, the dean actually asked him to deliver the keynote. So all of his 13 grandkids, wow. He's got eight sons and daughters. I say that because his daughter-in-laws and son-in-laws are truly like actual kids to him. There's my mom. They are married 63 years, a true love story. And I have to say, you know, he has really provided for us such a wonderful life. And to be able to give him this moment and witness it, like I goosebumps. I feel like I want to cry.
It's making me cry, and I only know you. I don't know the rest of your family, but it's so beautiful to see and to witness. And I understand that in honor of Father's Day, you're making one of your father's favorite dishes.
Yes. So my father is the biggest fan of all of my dishes, and he's like a hardcore taste tester. Tells it like it is. But what he really loves recently are my sweet and spicy coconut cashews. So I wanted to show you how I make them, and then he'll weigh in. So there's what they look like. They're so delicious. And I basically take raw cashews, that's a little bit of avocado oil, and then I mix it with either honey or maple syrup, a little bit of cayenne, cinnamon, and salt. You pop them in the oven at 350 for about 13 minutes, but you want to flip them halfway through. And when they're really warm and like ooey gooey out of the oven, you saw that I mixed it up. I added a little bit more salt for a pop. If you want more heat, you could always add more cayenne, you know, whatever your taste bud preference is. And one thing I'll say is whether you go in the honey direction or the maple syrup is all, again, up to your own taste buds. The honey delivers a little bit of a softer, stickier consistency. Amazing. But the maple syrup crunches it up. I'm a little bit more of a crunch girl, but when I do my massive taste testing, it's always a split decision right down the middle. So I think it's a win-win in either direction.
And speaking of taste testing, we want to hear what the taste tester himself has to say. So listen up to this.
You notice that most of this is empty? You know why? What? Because I've been eating it. I love, oh my God.
Oh, have you been eating it all day?
Yes, quietly and very secretly, so
They're
that
good,
no
right?
one would suspect.
Do you like the cashew parts, or do you like the?
I like it all. It's
Okay,
got
the
great-
cluster part is really nice, right?
I like the flavor, and I've been eating this all day.
That's awesome. So that's
Gayle,
all.
Gayle, you need to know it was hidden. I was going to take it out for the taste testing. He apparently found it, but there you go. The
Oh, my
jury has
goodness.
weighed in.
That's too funny. All right, we have a minute left. Do you think you can sneak in one more recipe?
Oh, definitely. I'm going to show you my sweet and juicy chocolate clementines. This is the easiest recipe ever. So all you do is you take vitamin C packed clementines, peel them, and then you dip them, I would say a quarter to halfway into melty dark chocolate. I melted the chocolate in the microwave, lay them out on parchment paper on a baking sheet, put them in the fridge for about 20 to 30 minutes. That's all you need. The chocolate will firm, and every single bite delivers the perfect balance between sweet juiciness with that indulgent, snappy chocolate. I think you're going to really love it. And it's another one that Artie Schloss, my dad, my hero, my love, devours.
That's so awesome. Well, thank you for sharing these precious memories with your father. My dad's no longer with me, and it just brings my heart so much joy to see you savoring every moment with yours. Thank you so much, Joy.
I do. And wishing everybody a wonderful, happy, and delicious Father's Day. Mwah.
Bye, Joy. We're going to share Joy's recipe on bloomtampabay.com. Make sure you follow her on social media. And when we come back, meet the author of Big Boys Do Cry, who's teaching men that vulnerability is a sign of strength. We'll be right back. Since childhood, many men are taught vulnerability equals weakness. But our next guest says there is an upside to emoting when it comes to men. Joining me now is men's vulnerability coach and the author of Big Boys Do Cry, a man's guide to navigating emotions and showing up more vulnerable in relationships, Ryan Kopiar. Ryan, welcome to Bloom.
Hey, good morning. Great to be with you.
It's great to have you on Bloom. We really appreciate this, and it's such an interesting subject. You do promote vulnerability among men. Why do you think it's difficult for most men to feel it's okay to cry, and what are some of the benefits of them showing emotion in this way?
Sure. Well, you know, growing up, most men never had an adult caretaker or their father or grandfather sit down with them and say, you know, I had such a great cry. Come sit down on my lap and let me tell you all about it and about how beautiful it can be for you. And so because most men were not raised to understand that it's okay to cry and it's okay to be in touch with your emotions, it's not something that comes natural for us. It's not something that we were taught. And what I've come to understand is that when we can drop out of our head and into our heart, it creates a much more beautiful life, not only for ourselves, but in deeper connection with those we love.
And I know this is something that you talk about in your book quite a bit. It provides actually a deeper dive into the importance of male emotional expression, especially in relationships.
Yes. Yeah, it's in relationships, they're mirrors, right? And so if there's an area where we want to grow, or maybe we're even coming up a little bit short, which for men is very often getting in touch with their emotions and understanding how to communicate those, it really provides an opportunity for growth and development. And so the book, I wanted to lay out a blueprint for men so that they can understand, the tools and the tips and the tricks and how to facilitate those levels of communication and vulnerability.
And I think, too, when you become more vulnerable and you start to share your feelings with your significant other, it really helps open up the communication lines. I think for the first time in, the 20 plus years my husband and I have been together, he for the very first time was sharing how he felt about a family exchange and how much that impacted him. And it wasn't until that moment that I understood why he was acting the way he was acting. Like, it helps the person that loves you understand where you're coming from.
Yes, yes. Oh, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful story. So I like to describe it this way: vulnerability creates safety. Through safety, we can feel more comfortable to communicate with those that we love and care about. Through communication comes deeper levels of connection. And through deeper levels of connection comes deeper levels of love. And when we have more love in our life, life gets all the more beautiful.
That is so true. That is so true. And you talk about something in your book called emotional flexibility. What exactly do you mean by that?
That's right. So if we're standing on our tippy toes, or we're constantly on guard, or we're constantly the strong, stoic guy, man, it becomes very difficult to be grounded. And many men grew up where they needed to act a certain way. They needed to have this mask on. They needed to be performers. They needed to hit certain metrics. And that can be healthy, but it can also cause a lot of rigidity. And that rigidity in emotions, that rigidity in communication is blockages. So when I talk about emotional flexibility, what I mean is, hey, guys, you don't have to be perfect all the time. It's okay to ask your partner or your spouse for help. It's okay to say, hey, here's an area where I'm still working and growing, and ask for that grace and that compassion as you learn and as you grow and as you walk out the steps of vulnerable communication, which again, if we weren't taught it growing up, there's going to be some stumble blocks along the way. I know I certainly had mine throughout the process.
Ryan, this is such a great subject. We really appreciate you joining us on Bloom to discuss.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to share Ryan's story on bloomtampabay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by OfferPad.
Selling a house can be challenging, but there is a real estate company taking the unpredictability and hassle out of selling your home. Joining me now with more is the National Director of Business Development for OfferPad, Brigham Wade. Brigham, welcome to Bloom. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So I love this format. Can you give us just kind of a brief overrun of OfferPad and how it works?
Yeah, you bet. So OfferPad is a real estate technology platform. What we do is we empower home sellers that want to sell their home, a way to do it directly to OfferPad and skip some of the traditional hassles or headaches that come when you sell your home on the market.
So how do people request a cash offer? Because that's part of this,
yes,
right?
Yes, exactly. So getting a cash offer is completely free. There's no obligation. You just go to offerpad.com. There you'll put in some basic information about your home. Our team will send you a cash offer to your email within 24 hours or less.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really impressive. Now, does OfferPad work with real estate agents and all of this?
We do. We love working with realtors.
Okay.
And so real estate agents are welcome to come learn about our agent programs, how they can be part of working with us long term. And one of the best things about working with OfferPad and realtor is OfferPad will actually take care of the compensation for the realtor so that the home seller doesn't have to. So it's a win-win for everyone.
That is a bonus. Now, what are some of the benefits of getting a cash offer?
There's a lot of benefits. Convenience, certainty, avoiding people coming in and out of your home. My favorite benefit of all of them is we actually provide a professional move for free. So a free local move is provided to you, the home seller, when you sell your home to OfferPad. Imagine all your furniture, your boxes, your appliances, all being loaded up for you and delivered to your new home, so there's no lower back pain the next morning. It's fantastic.
I love that. I mean, it seems like a win-win and a turnkey process.
Yes, very much. You're in control. You get to choose your timelines, and OfferPad's just the solution to help make it all possible.
And it seems like your platform has really grown over the years. People are getting behind the idea of buying and selling homes this way.
Yeah, it's taken a little bit to educate people that there's a different way, a better way. You can skip some of the traditional headaches and hassles. And with that, we've created this new way to sell your home that allows you to walk away and go tell all your friends and family, that's the best way possible. It's so easy.
And it seems more streamlined than traditional ways.
Yeah, you get to control your own closing date. You get to select when it is that you move. And you have the control the entire time. You're quarterbacking the process, communicating with us every step of the way.
Now, is the home seller doing all of this online? Are they communicating with somebody? How does the process itself work?
Yeah, so the process begins online. You go to our website, offerpad.com. Once you receive your cash offer, our team will reach out to you proactively to ask questions, to make sure we match up your timelines, go over some of those benefits and schedule your move. And then we just go to closing date and allow you to sell your home without any hassle.
That is really exciting. So a lot of benefits and a lot of release of headaches by doing it this way.
Yes, you bet. That's the whole goal, at least.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I really appreciate you coming on Bloom and explaining. This is going to pique a lot of people's interest. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. And you can visit offerpad.com for a free purchase offer today. We're going to put everything you need to know right there, offerpad.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by OfferPad.
It's time for today's Bloom trivia question. In a health survey, what percentage of male respondents said they would rather do household chores like cleaning toilets than go to the doctor? 50%, 72%, or 85%? The answer is 72%, according to Healthline, and 65% of the men said they avoid going to the doctor as long as possible. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Bloom today. You can catch Bloom anytime by following us on social media. We're on all major platforms, so get a behind-the-scenes look at all of the innovative breakthrough health and wellness conversations and incredible guests that we have right here on Bloom. And don't forget to check out our podcast, The Bloom Health Club. You can catch it live on Facebook and YouTube on Mondays at 2 p.m. We take a deep dive and have extended conversations with some of the top guests that we have right here on Bloom. You can watch our podcast anytime on YouTube or listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Well, we hope you'll tune in again on the next Bloom presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We're deep diving into weird health science. Find out why some people are turning to bee venom therapy to treat conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. There's a lot of buzz around this alternative medicine. We'll share everything you need to know. And find out what imbalances in men lead to muscle cramps. Stay healthy, everyone, and I will see you on the next Bloom.
Content segments during Bloom were paid for by Renewal by Anderson of Tampa and OfferPad.
Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.